Full Metal Jackie. Psyched to say I've got Phil Anselmo on the show once again. What's happening, Phil?
What's happening there, Full Metal fucking Jackie?
Thanks so much for being on the show again. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it, too.
So now we're back on the phone talking about this EP that you've been working on for a while. Last time you didn't even have a name for it, and there wasn't even really a full-on schedule. So really excited we have some more info to talk about. The first in a series of 4 EPs that are going to be released over the next few years is going to be coming out in September.
And it still doesn't have a name. I'm leaving it to y'all, man. Call it whatever you want, man.
Well, from my understanding, the way that they're releasing this first 6-song EP, it's called Down 4 Part 1, the Purple EP.
Okay, fine. I'll buy that.
It's coming out in stores September 18th. And, instead of an entire album, Down is releasing 4 EPs over the next year and a half. So Phil, not having to come up with 16 to 20 songs all at once, how did that change the way the songs were written?
Well, really, it took a lot of pressure off of any and all of us because, when this question comes up, I reflect on the first demo that we ever did in 1992. When we all flew into town with this idea in our heads, and we had no idea really what was going to come out of it. I had no lyrics. Everything was just right on the spot, and out of that we came out with Bury Me in Smoke, Temptations' Wings, and Losing All, which of course would be on the first record. So really, we took this approach with this record, and honestly, I have never in my life taken so much pressure off of myself to do a record. So really I approached it. We didn't overthink it. And the fact that it is 6 songs, I think that commanded all of our attention at the time. And really, honestly, to do a 10-song, 12-song record, I honestly, there's no room at this point in my career at all for what would be called filler. And I don't want any filler. I want the songs to be direct. I want them to be unique. And I think that we did pretty well with this EP.
Full Metal Jackie, Phil Anselmo on the show with us. We're talking about the first 6-song EP that's coming out from Down. It's called Down 4 Part 1, the Purple EP. We're going to have it out in stores September. Philip, you've had a pretty prolific career with 8+ bands. What's different about the satisfaction you get from Down compared to all your other bands?
Well, truth be told, Down to me is a genre band. No matter what has been created from Down, whatever slot all the experts want to slide us into, that's all fine. But really, I know at the end of the day that Down has a very hardcore following, a cult following, so to speak. And honestly, we made promises in the past, that we would do records in this certain time span, and it seems like 5 years goes by in between every release. So for people to get new Down music and stuff like that, it's important to that fan base in general. So we never want to let those folks down as far as releasing new stuff. So am I answering the question right there, Jackie?
Yeah, I think you have.
Really? I think I lost it somewhere.
Well, basically, the question was, what's different about the satisfaction you get from Down compared to all your other bands?
It's pleasing the fans, straight up. It's pleasing this fan base, I may play in a lot of different bands, but do they have this fan base? No, they do not. Those are more self-indulgent projects that I feel like doing, Not that I don't feel like doing Down. That's not what I'm saying. But the thing is, Down does have a hardcore following, whereas, outside of 2 other bands that I've ever been in, everything else has been really a small fan base or just me, enjoying myself. Down is an obligation.
So a few of the visits ago that I had a chance to spend some time with you, you were still having, some issues with your back. And all those years you were on stage with degenerative disc disease, it must have been agonizing. So now, years after having surgery to repair the problem without the pain, how have you changed as a performer?
As a performer, well, obviously I cannot be as particularly physical as I was in the past, and yes, it drives me bananas. It's frustrating, but when you have this type of injury to your lower back, which is really the center of your body, you're always cognizant of it. I have titanium rods and screws and clamps in my back, so if you were to ask me right now, do I feel these foreign objects in my body? And, I would say absolutely yes, I can. But there's also a conditioning of the mind, and I like to call it a mental callus. It builds up over time and gets harder and harder and harder, and you condition yourself to pain eventually. And honestly, the more physicality, the more work that you put into it. I went through months and months of physical rehabilitation with a fantastic team, really right down the street, and I still use those same stretching routines and core workouts today because it's essential. It is essential because, this might not sound like it's part of this, but it really is. But the weather here in the Gulf Coast, in the southern region right down here. Oh my goodness! When the pressure drops and whatnot, when weather becomes weather and becomes relevant, man, I can have done nothing very special, but the next day I'll wake up and this weather has ascended upon us, and it feels like I got in a car wreck the day before, So there's good days and there's bad days still. So a lot more good days than bad days, but once again, it's a conditioning thing. And as far as performing on stage, I just have to be cognizant. I have to be strong. I have to be mentally focused, and honestly, I can't hold back. Because when you hold back, that's when you f*** up, basically. You got to do what you got to do.
Full Metal Jackie, Phil Anselmo with us. The new Down EP will be out September 18th, Down 4, Part 1, the Purple EP. And let's talk about your housecore label for a moment. I know you have a lot of projects that you do on that label, and one of the bands from your label, Warbeast, is going to be coming out with you in September.
So is Harp. Harp is also on our
So there's
label,
two of
they're
them
coming out as well, Harp and Warbeast.
Fantastic.
And both bands have new stuff in the works, and actually Harp, by God, their new record called Husks, is coming out the same friggin' day as Down. So, whoa, a little bit of a scheduling mistake there, but not by housecore, God. By bless it all. And I'll say this, man. Harp, the new record is crushing and deserves attention. It deserves an ear. It deserves a listen from everybody. But also, with what's going on with Warbeast, at the same time, I cannot deny the fact that I've been working on a solo record for quite a while now. And really everything's tracked. All that needs to be done is the mixing. And I think the first order at hand between Warbeast and myself is we're doing a split, both of us 2 songs. And it's called War of the Gargantuas. And I giggle because it's a nod towards the 1960s film, a Japanese film called War of the Gargantuas. And as many things have been throughout a yon career, it's sort of an inside joke between both bands, and very much worth it for the old intestinal fortitude. And either way, I picked like 2 of the most, I guess, what I'd figure were more straight-on songs out of my solo stuff. Then I guess the full length will be. The full length is pretty chaotic, and it's sometime next year, I would say March at the latest. Maybe we'll get some solo bullshit going your way. Other than that, it's Harp first, Warbeast, with the split with myself, then War Beast, the record, actually we're mixing this record right now, their new record called Destroy, and it's a thrash friggin' masterpiece, and we're mixing that sucker right now, so you should hear that, and then my solo record. So yes, we're busy. I'm going crazy over here.
You are busy. It's Full Metal Jackie with Philip H. Anselmo. Just talking a little bit about your housecore label, and obviously you've put out music on the label that you are on and that you've sang on. What's the benefit and what's the downside to overseeing that part of releasing, your own music?
I think with the solo record, there's always pressure, but, I'm not putting pressure on myself, at all, once again, because it is what it is. I'm not going to say it's the savior of any friggin' genre of music. I'm not going to pump it up to be more than anyone could expectate, because it's going to be, I think, maybe even dare I say, difficult listen for some people. Yes, I do expect a lot of people to get it and dig it, but still at the same time, it is not an easy listen. It is a minefield, if you will. It's different, and that's all I can say. And I'll let everybody else be the judge of what is.
Well, I think that's great about what you do is you're not, trying to. You're putting out what you want to put out artistically. You're not saying, oh well, some people might not like this, and because it seems like you don't care.
As it should be, you cannot, Jackie, you cannot please everybody, and you know this. Like anybody else with good common sense knows, you're not going to please everybody at what you do every time, and no time. You're going to have your supporters and detractors, but such is the world, and that's what makes everything subjective, and that's what makes music so vast, because there's so many different styles. And you know what? If someone doesn't enjoy the music that I make, that's so fine. That's perfect. I am such dynamite, close, great friends with people that I've grown up and respected my entire life. Do I like their bands? No, I don't. I don't like their bands. And I'm not going to get specific, but I think they know who they are. But as people and as friends and as peers, we get along fantastically, great relationships. And so I think that's a big misconception within maybe a lot of fans out there and whatnot. You don't have to be a fan of someone's music to love them at all. Not at all. And that's where I think brotherhood and camaraderie and humanity comes into things, man. You grow up and you get a little wiser, and people should get along. And I bring up all these things because housecore records, I like to get involved with the bands. I love the recording process. I love getting in close with the bands. I love working, and I love producing. I love everything but mixing, for God's sakes. But mixing is a process that you have to go through. It's just one of those things. But either way, housecore is a love, or shall I say a labor of love. And that's all there is to it, man. There ain't nobody getting rich over here, Jack. Believe me. I am, as Alice in Chains once said, down in a hole.
Full Metal Jackie, Philip H. Anselmo. Looking forward to a fall tour, but it seems to be staying mostly on the East Coast. Will there be anything beyond that?
Oh, I would expect so, yes. Like I said, down is an absolute obligation, and where there is a fan base, then there must be shows, there has to be. So, this is one stretch, and then I know after September we are going to Europe for a good part of October, have the rest of the year off. I've got my hands full with the releases with housecore, once again, War Beast, and obviously Harp in September, but then War Beast shortly thereafter, or the Split shortly thereafter. And then I know in January they're talking about some more down shows, so I would not be heavily surprised if we were not going up the other coast.
All right, well, I'm looking forward to all of it, and always appreciate you being on the show. You've always been really super cool over the years. So
Hey,
thank you so
man,
much.
I appreciate it too, and it goes both ways, woman. You know it does.